Today, in part 3, we are going to talk about the sprint velocity. Lots of discussions are going around the sprint velocity these days. Many companies disappointed in the velocity and try to replace it with some other metrics like business value, product quality, team health, and etc. In this video, we will try to understand what the sprint velocity is for and what should we measure. And we will take a look if we can use the sprint velocity to measure things like business value and the product quality. And I would like to start with a quote of Peter Drucker. If we can't measure it, we can improve it. What is the sprint velocity? This is the sprint velocity definition from the Scrum glossary. Velocity is an optional but often used indication of the amount of the product backlog turned into an increment of the product during a sprint by the Scrum team, tracked by developers for use within the Scrum team. It may look a bit complicated. Let me explain it in a simple way. Velocity is a measurement tool. Like many other we use every day. Is velocity good or bad? It all depends on how we use it. Let's take a look at a few examples. In part 1, we talk about the customer, and we talk about us who produces a valuable product for our customer. Let's say our customer wants to make a fresh veggie pizza, and we have to deliver veggies to our customer as soon as possible. We checked our velocity, and it is good enough to deliver the necessary amount of vegetable by expected time. Our customer's pizza is excellent, and she decided to open a pizza shop and make more pizzas to sell. Now we have to deliver 5 times more veggies to our customer the same amount of time. In this case, our velocity must be fast enough to deliver the necessary amount of vegetable product in expected time. It means we have to increase our velocity at least 5 times. But what if our customer wants a fresh juice? And for that she needs fruits. In this case, it doesn't matter how many veggies and how fast we can deliver. We are delivering no value if it is useless for our customer. And there is an extremely important point, which many misunderstood or misinterpreted. And the point is, if product increment doesn't describe a customer problem or the solution doesn't solve this problem, we delivering no value, doesn't matter what the velocity is. What the sprint velocity is for? First, the sprint velocity tells how much work the team should take to the next sprint. The team doesn't want to take more it can deliver because this approach may negatively impact the team and overall value deliverables. But what the team has to do if it can deliver more? Let's find out. In the previous sprint, the team deliverables is 65 story points. The team should not take more than 65 story points in the new sprint. But what if the team productivity grows during the continuous improvement? And at the end of the current sprint, the team still has some time to deliver more user value. Then the team should add the bonus story. The current sprint velocity will be 70. After successfully delivering 70 story points in the current sprint, the team should take 70 story points for the next sprint. And the bonus story should be added to the sprint if some time is left at the end. This approach will help us not to stuck at the same velocity. The sprint velocity can be used to find out how much time takes a project or an epic get to be delivered. Let's say our project or epic is 480 story points. After 4 first sprints, the team velocity is 30. We can take this number as an average velocity to calculate how many sprints left to the team to deliver the rest of the project or an epic. So far, the team delivers 90 story points. After the simple calculation, we know 300 story points left to be delivered. And now we can calculate how many sprints we need to deliver the rest of the 390 story points. We divide 390 story points on 30 story points velocity, and it gives us the 13 sprints. This simple calculation based on the yesterday weather instead of visual thinking gives us a relatively accurate project forecast. But what if the business demands to deliver everything by May 1st? Now we know with the current team velocity it is not possible. To deliver everything by May 1st, the team has to increase the sprint velocity. Let's calculate what the team velocity should be to deliver 390 story points by the new deadline. The calculation is straightforward. We divide 390 story points left to deliver by 7 sprints left before May 1st. The expected velocity is 56 story points per sprint. We have to increase the team velocity. The team can increase the sprint velocity by using many different approaches, including continuous improvement and eliminating waste. How to increase velocity in detail we will discuss in one of our following videos. The point here is the sprint velocity is not an excuse why the product feature cannot be delivered by set deadline. The sprint velocity is an indicator the team has to improve to deliver the project by expected date. Another thing the business can use the velocity for is to calculate a real cost of a project or a feature. First, calculate the team cost per sprint. It's easy. Let's say our team is 5 people, which work 8 hours and 5 days a week, and company pays $50 per hour. So the total would be $10,000 per sprint. The price per hour includes developer salary, rent, equipment amortization, etc. Calculate the 1 story point cost. $10,000 per sprint divided by 60 story points per sprint equal $167 story per story point. Now we can calculate the cost of one single feature or the whole project. Let's say our project is 480 story points. We multiply on $167 and overall cost of the project would be $80,160. Now let's talk about the product quality. Specifically, if we can use velocity to measure a product quality. At the beginning of this video, we defined 2 things. First, we have to deliver a value to our customers. And the second thing is the sprint velocity is only an indicator of the team productivity or how many product backlogs increments meet definition of done in one sprint. We don't use sprint velocity to measure any other sprint activities, including production bug fixes. Now, let's see how it helps the team to measure the product quality. The sprint velocity is going down from almost 100 story points in the sprint 11 to almost nothing in sprint 16. But the sprint duration remains the same. It indicates something changed and the team delivers less value, and the team has to analyze the problem. After the investigation, the team realized the number of production bugs is growing. The number of bugs grow from a few in a sprint 11 to almost 100 in a sprint 16. Because we care about our customers and deliver a quality product, we have to fix those bugs as soon as possible by adding them to the current sprint. But the production bug fixes are not valuable to our customer because the customer expectation of a high-quality product is bug-free product. Bug fixes are unplanned work, which takes time from the planned work which delivering value to our customer. Dropping sprint velocity is an implicit indicator of product quality, and this is the reason why we shouldn't add the production bug fixes into the sprint velocity. Or we would find ourselves in a situation when velocity is high, but no new valuable product increments are delivered. But this is another dangerous path we should be afraid of. This is what Tahikida Harada said. It's not as if you can do anything to increase productivity. If numbers are very important, we may be tempted to do whatever makes the numbers better. However, if we do that, we may be just delaying addressing the real issue. The more the manager says targets and numbers, the more likely we are to get more people on Gemba become number matchers. We should not make a sprint velocity as our team target, because we may become number matchers. We should use the sprint velocity only as a measurement tool. Now, let's do the retrospective and review what we learned. First, if we cannot measure it, we cannot improve it. Sprint velocity is a measurement tool. Only we make the sprint velocity a good or a bad tool, depending on how we use it. We can use a sprint velocity to measure a customer value as soon as the product backlog increment describes a customer problem and our solution fixes it. We can use a sprint velocity to measure the product quality as soon as we fix the product bugs right away and not add them to the sprint velocity.